You ever have one of those mornings where your stomach drops before your brain even catches up? Like, you're just standing there with a mug of coffee, scrolling your phone, and then suddenly you're wide awake because your whole life might have just exploded? Yeah. That was me. In my kitchen. At 7:18 a.m. On a Wednesday. Staring at my fiancée's Instagram story. Big smiling selfie of her, full glam, holding up a stack of legal papers. Caption. Finally got him to sign that baby? He has no idea I switched the pages while he was signing. Can't wait for daddy's lawyer to see what I pulled off. #girlboss #securithabag. I swear to you, I read it 3 times before my brain let me feel anything. Then my heart just dropped into the trash. Name's Ryan. I'm 32, live in Austin, Texas, and I sell and service commercial refrigeration units. Glamorous? No. Pays the bills? Yeah. I'm not rich, but I'm not broke either. I've got a decent truck, some savings, and a 401k that I pretend not to check too often. My ex-fiancée's name is Brooke. She's 30, works in pharmaceutical sales, dresses like every brunch spot is a runway, and grew up in the kind of neighborhood where nobody brings their own groceries to the car, someone in a vest does it for them. Her dad, Leonard, owns a chain of luxury gyms across Texas. Her mom, Cynthia, doesn't technically have a job, unless you count posting busy day on Instagram after a massage and a latte. Me and Brooke had been together a little over 2 years. Engaged for about 7 months. Wedding was supposed to be in 4 weeks. Barn wedding outside of Austin, string lights, rustic vibes, the whole Pinterest starter pack. From the outside, we looked solid. But there were cracks. Nothing dramatic at first. Stuff like Brooke talking about our money like 90% of it was automatically hers. Little comments about how you'd never have this lifestyle without me. Her mom calling my job cute more than once. Should have been red flags. I saw them. I just painted them beige. The prenup thing came up like this. Brooke and I were at her parents' place, big stone house out in Westlake, more glass than actual walls. After dinner, we're sitting in the living room and Leonard goes, "So, son, let's talk about protecting the family's investments." Brooke squeezed my hand like it was nothing. My brain, here we go. He starts explaining how they're going to help us with a down payment on a house, like, a huge chunk, but only if we sign a prenup that keeps premarital assets separate. Honestly, that part didn't bother me. They're rich. I'm not. I'm not trying to take their money. He says. It's simple. What's hers stays hers, what's yours stays yours, and anything you build together, you split fairly if things go south. Fair enough, right? Except I know guys. I've seen enough people get burned. So I say. Yeah, I'm open to a prenup. But I want my own lawyer to look at it. You would have thought I said I wanted to marry Brooke and her sister the way Cynthia looked at me. Oh Ryan, that's so unnecessary. Leonard's attorney handles all of this. It'll be fair. I smiled and nodded, but inside? Another red flag. Another coat of beige paint. Here's something you need to know about me. I'm paranoid. Not like tinfoil hat paranoid, but I don't trust people who tell me not to double-check paperwork. So the day of the prenup signing, I did something that turned out to be the smartest move of my entire life. We were meeting at Brooke's parents' house again. They wanted to keep it informal. Leonard had his lawyer, Mr. Daniels, send over the draft ahead of time. I printed it, read it, and then asked a buddy of mine, who's a baby attorney, to skim it. He said, "Honestly, this is pretty standard. Nothing weird. You keep what's yours, she keeps what's hers, split anything you build together 50-50ths. No alimony unless it's been, like, 10 years. I'd still want something in writing that says no surprise debts, but overall? Not terrible. So far, so good. But my gut still didn't trust the situation. Not because of the papers. Because of the people handing them to me. So when I got to their house that Tuesday evening, I did this little move. We're in their fancy home office, built-in bookshelves, leather chairs, some framed magazine cover with Leonard on it looking inspirational. Everybody's making small talk, shuffling papers, pouring wine. I take my phone out, smile, and say, "Hey, do you mind if I charge this here? I'm at like 8%. I plug it into the socket behind me and angle it against a book. Screen facing out. Camera facing the table. Hit record. Lock screen. Put on my best oblivious future son-in-law face. Nobody notices. They're too busy feeling important. Leonard slides a printed stack toward me. All right, Ryan. This is what we all agreed on. 8 pages, very straightforward. We go through it page by page. Ryan Collins here, Brooke Hayes there, legal boilerplate, numbers that match what the draft said. I'm reading. I'm initialing. I'm trying to stay calm and not act like I'm looking for a trap, even though that's exactly what I'm doing. Brooke is sitting next to me, hand on my arm, doing that supportive fiancé act. See? It's not scary. We're just being smart. We get to page 4, and suddenly she goes. Crap, my throat is so dry. I'm gonna grab some water. Want anything, babe? She picks up the entire stack of papers. Doesn't just leave them there. Scoops up the whole prenup like it's her journal. I clock it. Not enough to freak out. But enough to go, She disappears down the hallway. I hear the fridge open. Some cabinet doors. The ice maker. She's gone maybe a minute and a half. Comes back in with a glass of water and the stack of papers. Okay, sorry, continue, she says. We finish the process. I initial every page. Sign the last one. She does the same. Leonard looks pleased. Cynthia's already talking about venues again. I unplug my phone casually, slide it into my pocket, and we leave shortly after. At that point, I didn't think I just recorded a crime. I thought I was just being extra careful. Fast forward to Wednesday morning. I'm in my apartment. Brooke had stayed at her parents' place because she had an early spa appointment with her mom, wedding prep facial. I'm making coffee before heading to a job site. I'm half awake, scrolling my phone. Snapchat. Email. A couple spam texts.
You ever walk into a lawyer's office with your whole life feeling like it's hanging by a frayed shoelace? That was me, stepping into Ethan's downtown Austin office at 8:11 a.m., still in my work boots, holding a stack of papers that felt radioactive. Ethan, my old high school buddy, now wearing a suit that said student loans died for this, looks at me, looks at the pages, and goes,
"All right, man."
"Hit me." I pulled up the recording and handed him my phone. He watched the first minute. Then the part where Brooke leaves the room. Then the part where she comes back with a completely different prenup, like a magician doing a terrible card trick. Ethan freezes the screen.
Zooms in.
Holy sh*T. Ryan, this is the dumbest felony I've ever seen recorded in 1080p. I just sat there, rubbing my forehead. What do I do? Ethan leaned back in his chair. First thing, you're not marrying her. Second, we're voiding whatever Frankenstein prenup she forced in front of you. Third, we're sending her family a letter so strong it'll peel the veneers off their teeth. By 9:30, Ethan had drafted a letter that sounded like it belonged in a Netflix courtroom drama. Things like, document substitution constitutes fraud, concealment and misrepresentation, video evidence already secured and backed up, potential criminal liability, and, my personal favorite, consider the upcoming wedding canceled.
Oof.
Reading my own breakup in legal language felt like watching someone else's life implode. Ethan emailed it to Brooke, her parents, their lawyer, their dog, basically anyone with a pulse and a stake in this disaster. Then he turned to me. Go home. Pack her things. Change the locks. Today. I blinked. Like, right now. Ryan, she committed fraud. She's not your fiancée anymore. She's a legal threat with eyelash extensions. That got me moving. Back at my apartment, I did exactly what Ethan said. I grabbed every single thing Brooke owned. Her wall of makeup. Her army of hair tools. Her closet full of dresses that somehow cost more than my truck tires. Her 19 throw pillows, 19. Her weirdly expensive shampoo that smelled like a forest made entirely of money. All of it. 4 hours. 6 trash bags and 11 boxes. When I finished, my apartment felt bigger. Quieter. Like someone had just vacuumed out all the anxiety. Then I drove to Home Depot, bought a new lock, installed it myself, and sat on my couch in total silence. I didn't cry, didn't shake, didn't rage. I just sat, waiting. Because I knew the storm was coming. It came at 6:04 p.m. A knock so aggressive, I thought someone was trying to breach my apartment like the ATF. I checked the camera I installed after the prenup disaster. And there she was.
Brooke.
Her mom. Her sister. All looking like they'd shown up for a neighborhood HOA coup. I cracked open the door, with the chain still on. Brooke's voice came out all sugary sweet, like Splenda mixed with poison. Ryan, baby, let's talk. I gestured toward the stack of boxes behind me. Your stuff's right here. You've got 1 hour to get it. Her eyes widen. 1 hour. Where am I supposed to go? I shrugged and said the calmest sentence of my entire life. Not my problem. You committed fraud. Cynthia, the mom, steps forward with the confidence of a woman whose main personality trait is brunch. Fraud? Oh, please. You signed the prenup. It's legally binding. I looked at her like she'd just declared the sky purple. I signed a document. Not the one your daughter switched in front of a camera. Her sister, Avery, the human version of a Yelp review, cuts in. You can't kick her out. She lives here. She's not on a lease, I said.
So, yes.
I can. Brooke tries crying. Like, instantly crying. Oscar-worthy crying. Ryan, please. I love you. Love isn't swapping legal documents while someone signs them. Cynthia's face goes bright red. Do you know who we are? My husband will ruin you. Now I'm annoyed. Your husband sells gym memberships, Cynthia. He can't undo video evidence. That did it. She gasped like I'd slapped her with a gluten-free bagel. Well, almost. They had no choice. They loaded box after box into Cynthia's shiny white Escalade while muttering things like, ungrateful. Small-minded. He'll regret this. Brooke deserves better. Brooke tried one more time. Ryan, you're going to destroy my life. You did that yourself. They drove off at 7:13 p.m., leaving behind a parking lot full of tire tracks and delusion. At 9:02 p.m., I get a text from a number I've never seen. Leonard Hayes. You've made a serious mistake. Call me immediately. I replied with exactly the level of energy I had left. Discuss anything with my attorney, Ethan Morales. 3 minutes later. You smug little punk. You have no idea what you've started. Screenshot. Forward to Ethan.
His reply.
Congrats. That's witness tampering. The next morning, Brooke calls me from a new number. I answer out of morbid curiosity. She whispers, frantic. Ryan, the police called me. You actually filed charges.
Yes.
You committed a crime. This will ruin my life. Maybe you should have thought about that when you bragged about it on Instagram. Silence. Then she says something that made my jaw clench so hard I thought I chipped a tooth. My dad's lawyer said it was fine to make minor adjustments. My eyes widened. Brooke, did his lawyer tell you to do it? Silence. Long, terrifying silence. And then, don't you dare. Don't you dare tell your attorney that. I hung up, called Ethan. He actually laughed. If her father's lawyer told her to commit fraud, that's conspiracy. This just got fun. By noon, Brooke's new lawyer called Ethan. He saw the evidence. He dropped her as a client. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then Brooke posted a long Facebook rant calling me abusive and controlling, which got nuked instantly when my sister commented. Where how you forgot the part where you swapped the prenup and bragged about it online? Half the comments flipped instantly. Brooke deleted the post within minutes.
Damage done.
That night at 11:04 p.m., someone rang my doorbell. I checked the camera, red-faced, breathing hard, hair looking like it had been fighting gravity for an hour. I spoke through the camera. Mr. Hayes, leave, or I'm calling the police. You think you can threaten my daughter with criminal charges? She committed fraud. That's not a threat. That's a fact. I will bury you in legal fees. I can send the video to the police for free. He froze, stared at the camera, then stormed off like a man who just found out country clubs don't refund membership fees. Friday morning, Ethan calls. Ryan, the DA wants the case. They're picking up the charges. My knees almost gave out. So, what now?
Now?
We let the justice system do its job. And you start rebuilding your life. I woke up Tuesday morning thinking the worst had already happened. Turns out I was adorable. My phone buzzed at 8:07 a.m. It was my boss, Frank. Frank never calls. He texts. Usually memes about broken AC units. So when he said, Ryan, HR needs to see you, my stomach dropped. I drove to the office, sat in a tiny HR room that smelled like burnt coffee and panic, and across the table was our HR manager, Lydia, sweet lady, soft voice, cardigan colors that scream, I bake banana bread for fun. But she wasn't smiling today. She clicked her pen. That sound still haunts me. Ryan, we received an anonymous email accusing you of inappropriate comments toward female coworkers. I blinked. What? She sighed. Look, in 6 years working here, I've never heard anything like this about you. Ever. But we still have to investigate it. I felt my pulse in my teeth. What exactly did the email say? It claimed you made repeated comments about women's bodies, and that someone felt uncomfortable around you at the Christmas party. I actually laughed. A loud, confused, borderline hysterical laugh. Lydia, I spent the entire Christmas party playing darts with the maintenance team. I didn't even talk to anyone else. I know, she whispered, but we still have to follow process. And at that exact moment I knew. This wasn't a complaint. This was a grenade someone tossed into my life. Someone with the same last name as my ex-fiancé. I left HR feeling like I'd been dipped in acid.
Not angry yet.
Just tired. Heavy.
Numb.
I called Ethan the second I sat in my truck. They're trying to get me fired, I said. Yeah, Ethan replied calmly. Document everything. HR will see through it. They always do when the accusations are vague and nobody comes forward. And if HR doesn't, then we sue for retaliation. But relax. These cases fall apart faster than Brooke's moral compass. I cracked a smile despite everything. At 2:40 p.m. that same day, I walked back out to the parking lot to grab tools from my truck. And stopped. All 4 tires were deflated. Not slowly. Not by accident.
Slashed.
4 tiny, precise cuts. I knew exactly who did it. Not personally, but in spirit. I marched straight back to the office, asked to see the security footage, only for the manager to tell me. Cameras were being serviced today. Of course they were. Filed a police report anyway. Officer asked if I suspected anyone. I gave him the rundown. He nodded like he'd heard this story before. That night, my sister Katie called me. And when Katie calls at night, it's never for something normal like, hey, wanna get tacos? She sent me a screenshot of Brooke's mom, Cynthia, posting some tear-drenched essay on Facebook about how I was harassing her daughter, stalking her, and destroying her mental health. People were commenting stuff like, oh my god, poor Brooke. Men are trash. Sending love, queen. But then my sister, God bless her chaotic soul, commented. Weird how you conveniently left out the part where she swapped legal documents and bragged about it online. The entire comments section caught fire instantly. People demanded proof. Someone asked why Brooke deleted her Instagram story then. Someone else asked why 3 lawyers had withdrawn from her case. 5 minutes later, the whole post vanished.
Poof.
Deleted. But not before Katie took screenshots. I sent everything to Ethan. His response.
Good.
This proves they're trying to manipulate public perception. Helps us. Wednesday morning, I got a call from my mom. Now, my mom is soft-spoken, polite, the kind of woman who apologizes when someone bumps into her. So when she said, Ryan, we need to talk, my chest tightened. Mom, what happened? Brooke's mother came to our house. I actually pulled the phone away from my ear. She what? Showed up at 8 a.m. banging on the door, crying about how you're ruining Brooke's future. Your father told her to leave, or he was calling the police. Oh, that image made me smile. My dad, in his pajamas, holding a mug of coffee, staring down a rich suburban woman having a meltdown on his lawn. I wish I'd seen it. Mom, I'm so sorry. Don't you dare apologize, she snapped. That woman raised a criminal. I almost teared up right there in the truck.
My mom doesn't talk like that.
But she did today. I hung up feeling a weird mix of anger and relief. Anger that Brooke's family kept escalating. Relief that mine had my back. Thursday evening, around 10:30 p.m., I walked into my apartment to find something slid under my door. An envelope. Inside it?
A check.
$75,000. And a typed note. Final offer. Drop all charges. Sign the enclosed NDA. Move on. The NDA basically said, I can't talk about Brooke. I can't mention the prenup. I can't discuss the case. I can't acknowledge that anything ever happened. Bro, it was like they wanted me to erase part of my brain. I sent a photo to Ethan. He replied, tell them to shove it. Preferably politely. I took a Sharpie, wrote declined, fraud is fraud, across the check, slid it back into the envelope, and mailed it to Leonard's office. Bet that was a fun surprise. Friday morning, Ethan called. And I'll never forget the satisfaction in his voice. Ryan. The DA picked up the case. They're pressing charges. I sat down. Right there on the floor of my apartment. Are you serious?
Yep.
Fraud and forgery. They want your formal statement next week. I exhaled, so hard I nearly saw stars. So, this is really happening? Oh, it's happening, he said. And with the evidence we have, this is a prosecutor's dream. For the first time in a week, I felt like I wasn't drowning. Not safe. But floating.
Just barely.
But floating. Later that afternoon, my doorbell rang again. I checked my camera. It was Avery, Brooke's sister, and two of Brooke's loudmouth friends. All three looked like they were filming a reality show called Rich Girls Confront Reality. Avery yelled up at the camera, "Ryan, we know you're in there. Stop hiding like a little coward and talk." I hit the microphone button. "You have 10 seconds to leave before I call the police. Vanessa is ruined because of you." "Yes," she said, Vanessa. I guess keeping their lies straight was too hard. "She committed fraud," I said. "That's why she's ruined." One of the friends screamed, "You're a pathetic man. She dodged a bullet." And I swear, without missing a beat, I said, "Pretty sure I dodged the bullet." That made all three of them explode like microwaved marshmallows. They shouted and stomped around for another 10 minutes. I called the police. When officers arrived, the girls tried to act innocent and sweet. Didn't work. Officer told them, "Leave now or get cited for trespassing." They left. But the looks on their faces? Like I'd ruined their weekend trip to a wine bar? Priceless. That night, I sat on my couch, lights off, apartment quiet, and for the first time in days, I finally let myself feel it. The loss, the betrayal, the fear, the exhaustion, and yeah, the relief. I wasn't just losing a fiancé. I was losing the version of myself who thought red flags were just relationship quirks. I breathed in, breathed out, and I thought, if this is rock bottom, fine. I'll build something new here. By the time the next week rolled around, I thought maybe Brooke's family had finally burned themselves out. You know, like toddlers after a sugar crash.
But nah.
These people had stamina. Olympic-level delusion. Monday morning, I went to the police station with Ethan for my formal statement. Detective Hernandez sat across from us, reviewing the video, pausing, zooming in, nodding like he was watching an episode of Dumb Ways to Die. Fiancée edition. When he finished, he closed the laptop and looked at me. "Ryan, this is the cleanest fraud case I've seen in years." I didn't know whether to feel proud or psychologically damaged. He asked a bunch of questions, took notes, then said, "We'll proceed with charges." The DA already approved the filing. That was it. Brooke was officially being criminally prosecuted. I walked out feeling light, almost weightless, like someone had turned down the noise inside my head. But peace never lasts long when crazy people are involved. Tuesday afternoon, HR finally finished interviewing every woman I'd ever spoken to in 6 years of working there. Every single one. Even Linda from accounting, who hates everyone under the age of 40. Lydia called me in. "Ryan, we're closing the complaint." All allegations were found to be unsubstantiated. They figured out the whole thing was a hit job. She even smiled a little. Honestly, most of the women were confused why your name was even mentioned. Lisa said, and I quote, "Ryan? The guy who apologizes for sneezing too loud." I laughed for the first time in days. It felt good. Like unclenching a fist I didn't know I'd been making. My boss Frank took me out for coffee afterward. "Look," he said, putting a big hand on my shoulder. "HR's a pain, but they're not stupid. They knew this was BS." "What about the anonymous email?" "Oh, that." Frank shrugged. IT traced the metadata. It came from a VPN, but the timestamp matched an email sent from Brooke's mom's iPad. My jaw dropped. She used the family iPad?
Yep.
And the name on the iCloud account was Cynthia's. I swear, you could not make this stuff up. Wednesday was quiet. Too quiet. I should have known that meant something was coming. And it did. Thursday evening, I got a voicemail from a woman I'd never met. "Hi, Ryan? This is Jenna Morales. I used to date Brooke's cousin. I heard what happened and I think you need to know something." Of course, I called Ethan first. He said, "Meet her. Public place. Record, everything." So Friday morning, I met her at a coffee shop near campus. She walked in looking nervous, holding her phone like it was evidence from CSI. She didn't waste time. "Brooke did this before," she said. "To someone else." My heartbeat tripped. "Before what?"
She leaned in.
"She did the same thing to her ex-fiancé. Switched documents. Moved money. Lied to everyone. Her dad paid the guy off, $25,000 plus an NDA. I just stared at her. She wasn't done. She called me last week. Crying. Saying you're ruining her life. Saying she didn't do anything wrong. And I realized she hasn't changed. At all." Jenna slid her phone across the table. "You should listen to this." It was a recorded call. Brooke's voice. Crying. Manipulating. Victimizing herself. Admitting she'd done something similar years ago but that daddy fixed it, so it didn't count. When the recording ended, I sat back.
"Thank you," I said.
"Seriously. You're doing the right thing," she whispered. No one ever stood up to her family before. I sent the file to Ethan and the DA. They replied within the hour. This is huge. Establishes pattern. Strengthens the case tenfold. For once, something broke in my favor. The next major event was arraignment day. I didn't go into the courtroom. Victims usually don't, but I waited outside with Ethan. Brooke arrived wearing a pastel blazer and sunglasses big enough to double as face shields. Her dad walked beside her, jaw clenched, hair slicked back like he was auditioning for a villain role on a soap opera. Her attorney, lawyer number 3, looked exhausted, like he already regretted waking up that morning. They went inside. 20 minutes later, they came back out. Her lawyer looked even paler. Ethan smirked.
Well,
They pled not guilty, he said. Of course. Of course. But the judge had apparently watched the video in open court. And the moment Brooke's switcheroo played on screen, the judge frowned so hard the room temperature dropped. Bail conditions. No contact with me. No contact with my family. No showing up at my apartment, workplace, or anywhere I am. Leonard exploded afterward, yelling something about miscarriage of justice. The judge threatened to hold him in contempt. A good day overall. And then something wild happened. Brooke's lawyer withdrew. Another one. Just like the others. He filed a notice saying irreconcilable differences and walked away. He saw the evidence. Knew she'd lose. Didn't want her stain on his career. That made 3 lawyers who'd quit on her. The 4th one ended up being a public defender. Imagine going from daddy's platinum attorney to court-appointed representation. Karma was working overtime. The final twist came 2 weeks later. A courthouse offer. A plea deal. Brooke accepted. 1 felony count, fraud by document substitution, reduced from 2 charges in exchange for 18 months of probation, 150 hours of community service, $3,500 in fines, permanent criminal record. And worst of all for her anyway, her career as a pharmaceutical rep?
done.
License suspended pending review. Fraud is a career killer. Her family? Falling apart. Leonard's gym business started taking hits because the story got out. Cynthia deleted all her social media. Her sister Avery moved out after screaming at their parents. Country Club revoked their membership. And Brooke moved to a condo in Florida her parents owned. Off the grid. Humiliated. She sent me a letter. No return address. But it was definitely her handwriting. It said, I hope you're happy. You destroyed everything. I mailed back 1 sentence. I'm finally happy. Thank you for asking. So where am I now? My apartment feels like mine again. I replaced the furniture Brooke forced me to buy because it looked upscale. I got a new couch that actually feels good to sit on. Painted the bedroom a color I actually like. I sold the engagement ring. Used the money to pay off my truck. Took my parents on a weekend trip to Colorado. They deserved happiness after all the crap they endured. I started therapy to figure out why I ignored red flags. Why I kept giving someone the benefit of the doubt when they didn't deserve it. Why I thought choosing someone like Brooke was the best I could do. My therapist asked if I felt guilty about pressing charges. I said,
No.
if I didn't do it, she'd do it to someone else. Someone without proof. Someone without support. Someone who'd get buried. At the end of it all, that's what I learned. Love isn't sacrifice. It's not tolerating disrespect. It's not ignoring red flags because someone's pretty or your families get along or you're afraid of starting over. Love is choosing someone who doesn't require you to lose yourself. Brooke didn't destroy me. She revealed me. Showed me what I'd been settling for. And now, I'm rebuilding. Slowly. Honestly. With boundaries. With self-respect. The wedding would have been 2 months ago. Instead, I'm single. Healing. Living clean. Sleeping better. Breathing easier. Laughing again. And for the first time in years, I'm actually excited for the next chapter.